Hey there, Ted Grunlow with Nomic Networks. Welcome to the Cybersecurity on the Frontlines podcast again. Haven't done one of these in a while, but we're picking it back up and adding video to it. So come find us on YouTube. So today our focus is network visibility and security on a budget. We're talking to the city of Newton, Kansas. It's an IT team of 2. They support 230 employees, and those employees serve over 20,000 residents. So as you'll hear here, they felt like visibility into the network for security was a huge weakness for them. So how do they address that? Spoiler alert, they are a customer of ours, but it goes way beyond that. So keep listening to hear how they're trying to solve that problem, not just with the tools and managed services, but being smart with people and resources that they already have. So let's get to it. All right, welcome to the Nomic Networks podcast. Maybe our first vodcast is what we're working on right now. That's a new term I learned recently, by the way. And we have with us today a couple of my favorite people from the city of Newton, Kansas. They're one of our customers. Spoiler alert. And so we're gonna talk about several things today, breadth of topics. But I wanted to go ahead, obviously, and get some intros out of the way. I guess I forgot myself. I'm Ted Grunlow, CEO of Nomic Networks, here to talk today with these guys. So, Nathan, go ahead and introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Yeah, my name is Nathan Wallace. I am the cybersecurity architect for the city of Newton.
Very cool. Brenda.
I am Brenda Ternes. I am the IT director for the City of Newton, and I am also the GMIS International president.
Yes, and we're going to touch on that topic too. That's kind of important to what we're going to be discussing today. So first, I'd like to dive in a little bit to the city itself, get a better idea of who you serve, that sort of thing. So Brenda, how long have you been with Newton?
I've been here for 18 years.
Have you been IT director the entire time, Brenda?
Manager, director, jack of all trades. For 16 years, I was alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 16 years. Okay. So that is an interesting segue. Hey, Nathan, how long have you been there?
Well, surprisingly enough, 2 years. So the other 2 years of her 18, I've been here helping her get the city kind of in a very good position as far as cybersecurity goes.
What do each of you do, like the roles you take on?
Well, I would say, we both kind of do it all. I mean, Brenda's very good at delegating things between the both of us, and we both handle everything from help desk tickets, all the printing issues, whatever else, all the way to, configuring and designing the network and making sure that everything's done correctly. So, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Now, where does cyber come into that?
Well, for me, my big thing was making sure that we had visibility on our network. I knew that was something that I figured we were lacking when I came in. Now, we do have an MSP currently, and they handle some of that, but I needed more visibility into checking and making sure everything that was getting done correctly. And that's when I kind of saw Nomic. I saw what you guys were doing, and I really liked the product, so that's what led me into inquiring and yeah, getting it implemented in our network.
Cool. And actually, we knew Brenda before, right? We've known you
Yes,
for a little while.
you have.
And so, how many? A couple other questions about the city specifically, because we have a ton of municipality customers, and I'm always interested in these kind of stats and how you guys compare. So, how many employees for City of Newton? Do you
We
know how many
have
people you serve?
just over a little over 200, probably about 230 users
Okay.
or employees
Yeah.
with us.
And then how many people live in Newton?
About 20,000.
Okay. Yeah. So you're at the top of that magic ratio, right? You've got 2 people for how many did you say employees? 200
About
employees?
about 230.
And then 200 support 20,000, right? So you're right on those lines, right? Like one employee per 100 that you're
Hmm.
serving, right? And a lot of cities obviously try to get that down to, maybe 1 to 50 or something like that, I think is a magic number I've heard before. You guys are shaking your head yes for those that are watching the video. Yes, please, we want to do that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and that just underscores kind of a lot of the municipalities we serve in terms of just the difficulty of all the hats you all have to wear for an organization that size. All right, so is Newton, this is going to get to the question of like what your guys' roadmap is, what your plans are, that kind of thing, whatever you're willing to share, obviously. But is Newton growing? Is it, so does that helps you in that regard? Is your budget kind of creeping up? Or you guys, what are your plans?
Newton is growing as a city. We are trying to be progressive and bring in new businesses, which do bring in more citizens to work in the community, and then also work for the city itself. IT is the backbone of all of these services that we are providing to our citizens. And so as an IT in the city, we are trying to make sure that we are progressive, cost effective, fiscally responsible for with our money to provide those services to our citizens. And as a department, we're growing. We've more softwares, more hardwares out there, an increased need for cybersecurity functions. As we all know that everyone is getting breached or tries or something out there. There's hackers running rampant. So we're trying to put the city of Newton in a good, stable place with the IT backbone to be able to serve those citizens.
Yeah, and I'm gonna poke a little bit at kind of like what you guys are running in your shop, that kind of thing. You obviously don't have to name names other than ours, but you don't have to name names. I'm not going to pressure you that way. I do wonder, do you think there are specific challenges to you guys as a municipality as opposed to, in the corporate world, that sort of thing? So like, just off the top of your head, if there's anything that, you deal with besides just the fact that you're a small team, right? Like, is there any other challenges specific to local government?
I would say budgetary resources is a big thing for local government. We don't have an unlimited amount of money to throw at problems or to hire enough personnel to maintain what we're trying to do. So that's the big challenge for us. So we have to do more with less.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for us here at the city, we do have a lot of people that support what we're doing and where we're trying to go with our plans. So it's good for us here.
That's good to hear. Obviously, it would be. I wouldn't ask you to just throw anybody under the bus on a public podcast, but it does sound like you have the support you need and you feel like you're well supported, which is a whole other presentation we do, right? On talking about how to get budget and that whole challenge. Mm-hmm. So, are there anything you guys do, anything clever you'd want to share in terms of like how you different approaches to making your cybersecurity better with the resources you have? And I'm not looking for like a pitch for our product or anything, but just like in your day to day, Nathan, like is there anything that your procedures, policies that you put in place that save you time, save your city money, that kind of thing?
Well, there's not necessarily anything specifically that I could say along those lines, as much as just making sure that I'm using my time efficiently to go through all of the different logs that we have, all of the different information that we get on a day-to-day basis. I try to do my best, which of course puts a little bit of strain on Brenda because she has to handle a little bit more of the day-to-day help desk things that pop up. But I really try to focus my time on making sure that I'm going through all of the influx of information that we receive to make sure that if there is a bad or an issue of things that are popping up, that they're known bads, and so we know where we're going to resolve those issues. But as far as policies and procedures, there's not. That's all things that are upcoming. That's going to be that's the plan.
Yeah. But you mentioned delegation earlier. You feel like you and Brenda do a pretty good give and take in terms of she tries to take that load off of you so that you can do that work, right?
Right. Yeah. That's a big thing because a lot of this stuff, I mean, with our MSP, we had eyes on certain, our EDR solution that we have, and we get alerts for things, but there's just not really a way for us to get that deeper um, visibility into the network. And so
Yeah.
getting as much visibility as we can has really increased um, our levels of feeling more secure and feeling safer.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, in terms of how about I'm going to lead the witness a little bit. Like, do you feel like the manages services you guys lean on? You mentioned that you have over time, had or have a relationship with an MSP. You've got us as a managed service to a certain degree. Like, do you feel like that's a strategy for smaller organizations to lean on a little bit? You see a trend in that direction?
I do. And the smaller organizations do need some type of support and outside support. So the MSPs or the services that they can get from other companies like Nomic or, other people that they are contracting with, that is very important for the smaller organizations. I wouldn't have survived so long on my own had I not had some of that support from that. So I do think that is very important. There's a fine line of when you get to a certain level or too big for some of that when you need more in-house support.
Yeah, and I don't want to take words out of Nathan's mouth, but you described that already, right? You're kind of hitting that line where you want more access, you want more visibility into things, and find services that provide that for you.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to talk before we move on. I want to dive in eventually to technology, but I do want to take a minute because you mentioned you're active in the GMIS organizations, Brenda. I want to talk about that a little bit. Well, first of all, describe your many roles in GMIS a little bit first, and then I'm going to ask a couple questions there.
GMIS is an organization of public sector technology leaders, in a sense, that come together and collaborate, network together, lean on each other, have task force, stuff like that. So in my roles, I joined the board in, I think it was I can't remember when it was, maybe 2018, I joined the GMIS International Board. We have chapters throughout GMIS. Kansas is a very strong chapter. I joined the Kansas chapter's board of directors and went through the processes there. And I love these group of people that I have and collaborate in Kansas. And so I went through that process, and then I decided to join the international board. For about 3 years, I was conference director, and that was a fun role. We have a conference every year that we put together on a national level, and it was really fun to put that together and provide the education and choose those different aspects. And then I decided to do more in the board, and I was president-elect. I was voted in by the membership for president-elect, and I am currently president from the 24 to 26 years.
Yeah, which is why I'm so nervous talking to you right now. Like it's very, it's a, it's a great thing, and it's a segue from what we were talking about before, like leaning on managed services. How do you, as a small team, figure things out? I have always seen GMIS as a good example of that too. Like how often do you lean on members? How often do you talk to other people about solutions, etc.?
The listserv is very active on the national level and on the individual state level. There's always questions going out, hundreds a week, and if I have something to interject, I can interject and I can help another entity out there, and they do the same for us. I've asked questions out there, and they respond and give me some answers, give me some guidance, whether it be policy, whether it be a certain vendor that is doing a product that I'm looking for, reviews on vendors that might have products out there. Hey, use this one because Nomic is awesome and they have great support. Uh, Different things like that. When we get together, either at the Kansas level or at the national level, there's just so many friends that we are, and we talk about our challenges and we try to overcome those challenges or help each other out. There's been times that there were people that had done things, say the MFA, when it was a popular thing that with the cyber insurance was requiring MFA. One of our local cities had gone through that process, and they helped guide the rest of us through and help get our administration buy-in, because that's a hard thing at a government level to, use your cell phone, your personal cell phones for all of that, or get tokens or anything like that. But they really helped the rest of us get to where we needed to be.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And that, from a vendor perspective, I mean, you know this because we've had conversations about it. But from a vendor perspective, for a smaller company like us, the word of mouth, the collaborative nature. You guys aren't competing against each other, right? So just that collaborative nature really, well, it could hurt, obviously, but from our perspective, it's kind of the only way to go. Like we just feel like it's a fits our culture a little better to speak with these groups, whether it's GMIS or in Texas Tag ITM, any of those organizations. So yeah, and I like that collaborative nature, whether it's managed service, whether it's through those organizations. They really do help the smaller teams, which is kind of what it's all about. So okay, so I do want to walk through a little bit. I know obviously you've grown a little bit. If you wouldn't mind walking through your cybersecurity stack, as it were. And again, you don't have to use names. Just want to know kind of generally what you guys, what you've prioritized, kind of, and maybe where you're headed, and learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, we have, of course, like the standard, we have EDR, XDR, MDR, all the above. We have, of course, not going to name without naming names. We do have that in place.
Yep.
That's a big thing that we've focused on, making sure that we get something good put in place there.
Was that a lift that you guys have done recently, or was that or
That
a replacement or something, or has that been in place for a while?
It's been in place. That's something that we get service from our MSP, and we are currently in the process of looking at getting a SIEM in place as well. That's been a big thing. That's kind of the lift that we're currently working on. Just because I have all of these different influxes of information from different, you know, logging systems, and I'm just constantly having to check logs, and it can take some time. And so getting a SIEM put in place to really digest all of that and make it a little bit easier to go through, that's a big thing for us. But when I first saw your guys' product, that was a good thing for me, because I knew we didn't have an IP or an IPS or an IDS system, and you guys were more than that. Especially now that being more of an MNDR, it was something that I thought it was a really cool product and very innovative in the sense, for a lot of different reasons. But we put your whole stack in place. So we have your Insight, your Outposts. We have a couple of them, and then of course the HQ. So those were big things. As far as a lot of the cybersecurity before I had started was all handled by our MSP. So we're in the process of taking that over. So that's where we're at now, and that's kind of where we're going. We're looking to handle more of that in-house.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got a firewall, right?
Yes.
On the edge of the network.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got your endpoints covered, and then obviously, hopefully with Insight, you've got visibility to the network traffic. So you're kind of covering every piece of that. Adding a SIM or a SIEM, however you want to say it, is then obviously a way to kind of coordinate all of that stuff. I did want to talk a little bit about. So now we talk about us specifically a little bit. Let's talk outside first. So with the Outpost, what brought you? What kind of attracted you to that beyond necessarily what your firewall was doing?
So, I mean, the biggest thing for me, and the reason why I thought it was such a innovative product, is I hadn't ever heard of this, obviously, network cloaking before. The fact that that was something that I saw great value in, especially with the way that we have our network set up, having a main firewall that handles a lot of our traffic.
Yeah.
It takes all of the um, the standard rogue packets and things like that. It takes all of that traffic off of the firewall because of the fact that when it sees a malicious, you know, anything coming in, it blocks it and drops it off the network entirely with that network cloaking. It's not able to see it. It's not able to hit our firewall, and our firewall is able to, perform more efficiently.
Okay, yeah. So you're basically reading right off our website, Nathan. That's great. Like that was perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Let
Well,
me pull it up real quick. So,
no, I mean you hit that's it, it honestly warms my heart a little bit. Like you're hitting right in what the value proposition is there. So and hopefully that gives you a little time back, right? And it helps your other systems as well. Um,
yeah.
so so Outpost, sure, great. It's been our bread and butter for a long time. Glad you see value in it. And Insight. Here's what I'm really curious about is you mentioned that you're headed towards implementing a SIM, right, or a SIEM.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to talk a little bit about kind of your journey towards that and the visibility that that's going to get you to, starting from zero, implementing Insight, and then getting. And I know, where are you on your implementation, by the way? Do you have the SIM yet?
So,
We're still trying to get approval
Gotcha. Okay.
from, yeah, the commission.
Okay, so you're not
yep.
Nathan's not the be all end all expert yet on the SIM, right?
Nice.
Is that
No.
Okay.
Correct.
So your journey, what I'm really interested in is the journey from Nathan saying, "Oh no, I have zero visibility into anything," toward all the way to a sophisticated SIM that's going to have every log you could ever want in it. And Insight is somewhere in between there. So I'm kind of interested to hear, and Nathan, take as long as you want to kind of describe that process.
Well, I mean, realistically, it's not necessarily a long process. It just came down to, for me, not having any visibility on the network and having an MSP that handles our cybersecurity. We are in a world, honestly, we are moving to the world of zero trust where we're not supposed to be, I mean, nothing should trust anything. But we're currently more along those lines of trust but verify.
Yeah.
That verification is the big thing for me. I needed to know that we had things in place and that things were being done correctly. So when I came in and I was like, hey, can I have access to this? Hey, can I look at this? There was a little bit of pushback just because of the way that we were being managed, and I've been trying to figure out a way to get more visibility. When I saw that Insight was a product that then sits inside of our network, communicates with the outpost to create all sorts of information for everything that comes on and off of our network, I mean, it was almost a no-brainer. The more that I looked into it, the more that I realized this is a product that we could greatly benefit from. And I mean, I went to a couple of your demos. I'd seen a couple of things of you guys talking about how it works and how it could benefit us. And I mean, I was pretty sold on it from that point forward. Being able to see everything from the IP addresses that we connect to, the protocols, the attack types, everything that's happening. I mean, it's just very it's where we want to go as far as visibility goes. Now, obviously with the SIEM, it's going to create a lot more logging from everything that I have as far as our Azure logs and everything else. I mean, sign in and audit logs. I mean, it's going to create a little bit easier way to read all that information and digest it in a timely manner. That's the end. The end game is eventually to get to a point of where I have a little bit easier time going through all of the logs. But Insight was just, I mean, it's a great product that creates, these flows that I'm able to go through and check. And I know we talked a little bit before about how I get lists of malicious IP addresses that I will go through and I'll check and see if we've communicated with. And the fact that I'm able to go back and look, I mean, it's huge. And of course, with your guys' ability to log all of that information for an extended period of time, I mean, I can go way back and check. So ever since I put it in place, I'm able to go back and do searches, and it's just awesome. It's great.
So do you see it as obviously you mentioned you kind of started with nothing. You wanted some visibility, right? And you didn't necessarily have the flexibility to get the visibility you wanted. Insight gives you that quick visibility into the network. Cool. And then flash forward 6, 12 months from now, you've got the SIM, it's gathering all the logs. Do you still see utility in the ability to quickly, I'm leading the witness again, to quickly, find that information, troubleshooting, diagnosis, whatever you need to do? Do you still see the value in that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is something that it was the first product that when bringing to, because Brenda and I had conversations about where we were going.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "I think this product, the value for what we're getting and the information that we're receiving, I mean, it's there's nothing else that could come close to it. I mean, a SIEM is not cheap."
Yeah.
And so that alone, that completely separately was, I mean, it was going to be a lot. And so when I saw you guys, I saw what your products were offering, what all we were getting, this was the perfect starting point. And it was honestly more than I was expecting, because you guys, unlike, well, I shouldn't say unlike, but what you guys do very well, compared to maybe some other organizations or products or solutions, is your guys' continuous innovation. I mean, since we've had your product, you've implemented multiple things that have made my life even easier.
Did
The
you
the
did you get the notification on Friday of the update? We had a huge update on
I
Friday.
I did, yes.
We did.
I saw, I had it open, and I was actually keeping it open when I was looking through things. And the next thing you know, I got a pop up and it said, "Oh, you need to you
Yeah.
need to relaunch. There's a big update." So I
Yeah.
so I did that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that, like the fact that you guys brought the reporting software in, I mean, that makes it extremely easy for me from month by month to take that executive summary, and it builds it out, sends it to me. I save it, and I have every month since we've had the product in place, all the alerts, all the countries, the ASNs, everything that all the communication we've done, it's all put in a very clean, nice document. So then whenever the commission or whoever asks about the product, I can show the value in it. It's
Have
very
you
easy.
have you actually used that like in front of the commission, Brenda? Do you take those reports to them or
I
you?
haven't yet. I will probably do that this budget cycle,
Yeah.
because since we did implement it last year, wasn't it last year?
Yep.
Yeah, we will be able to prove that, hey, this was where we went, and this was the value that we receive out of this.
That is
And
that is literally, I mean, we've had executive summaries on the devices themselves for a long time, but that pretty report, for those on video, I'm putting it in quotes, that pretty report, um, that's really the purpose of it. Like, is for you guys to at least have something you can walk to and say, So I guess what I'm saying is I'm hoping that is doing its job.
There's absolutely great value in it, and that's why, like I said, when you came out with that, to have it automatically do it, I was, before that reporting was built into the HQ, I was going on them manually, printing them out. I mean, it's not like it was terribly long to do, but this just made it so much easier.
Yeah.
And again, it's like I said, you guys are just constantly innovating. So
Cool. That's great to hear. Do you do you see? You mentioned the listserv earlier, and like if somebody were to ping you behind the scenes, hey, you guys use Nomic, um, and they're pitching this insight thing to me. Do you see value in that device almost as so in your case? It started off as an alternative to a SIM because you couldn't afford a SIM, right? Now you're
right.
implementing a SIM, but you've just mentioned that you still see value in it as like a supplement to the SIM, right? And that's the way we kind of pitch it, one or the other. So, would you recommend that to someone who, an even smaller organization than yours that can't afford a SIM, that sort of thing, like as a good first step?
Yeah, and for multiple reasons, because it's more than, again, with the Nomic products, you're not just getting the insight or the outpost. I mean, you're getting a team backed by individuals that also have eyes on. I mean, you guys do more than just, I mean, and again, because you guys have such great visibility with your products, I can see when people are signing in. I can see when you're checking on specific alerts. I mean, it shows me all of that. Um, but the fact that Insight specifically is essentially, like you'd said, a supplement to a SIEM, but it handles it just like a SIEM in the sense of all the information that I'm getting in a very quick and easy way to go through and look through all of the different conversations and communications on our network.
Yeah.
It's invaluable. I mean,
And
especially for
security
the
and
press.
layers. Security and
Exactly.
layers. You have to do that. There were things that when we first implemented it that we had users getting blocked downloading software and doing things, and so we were in the insight and we were looking and we were seeing and we figured out why they were getting blocked downloading their software. They would have never figured it out, but
Yeah.
it was different like APNs that they were going through, and they were malicious, and even though it was a valid software, so we were at least able to tell them, hey, this is why you're getting this, and um, figure it out. So it's really helped us in many aspects.
That's great. So the do you feel like it's kind of a little bit of a side question? There's this aspect of haven't really talked about this, but alert fatigue gets brought up a lot in the marketing around SIMs or IDS or firewalls or any of that sort of thing. Um, do you see how do you see yourself? I'm not even going to ask about our product. How do you see yourself, like with a small team, sort of figuring that out, solving that problem?
So it's hard not to talk about that without talking about you guys because that's a big thing of what I use. But outside of that specifically,
Oh,
as
feel
an in
free to talk about us. I just didn't want you to
right,
know. I just wanted you to
it
know.
wasn't too leading. I
Right.
see, I
Yeah. Yeah.
see. No, it comes down to a person as an individual. So for me, I mean, there are a lot of alerts that come through and they're the same thing over and over again. And there's multiple ways around that. But for me personally, it comes down to the individual. Like, you have to understand that, yes, alert fatigue is real and that does happen, but it is my job. It is my sole purpose for this organization to make sure that I'm keeping it safe. I
Yeah.
can't I can't allow myself to have alert fatigue because who knows? It only takes once. They only have to be right once. I have to be right 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So there's more to it than just that. Just touching on that aspect specifically. But I do understand that that is something that happens. Um, you guys have a very good kind of you have features in place to kind of keep that from happening with the ability to scale down the amount of alerts or uh, the frequency of the alerts coming in. Um, but for me, I'll never be frustrated or annoyed at too many because a lot of the times they're the same thing. But it's the fact that you guys are giving us a known bad. You're giving, I know these are regular things that are coming through. So most of the time, I get the alert at the end of the day from you guys, and it comes through at midnight. I'm generally still awake at midnight, so I'll go through and I'll read through and make sure that everything looks the same as normal. And when it is, great, all is well, move on. Now it's those nights where I go through and I see an alert that doesn't look normal. Then I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, and then I'll pull up my computer, I'll go through and I'll look and I'll see, and it tells me, whether it's something specific, something worse or whatever it is. It's the fact that I know that that's not normal, and I wouldn't have that visibility if I didn't have this product in place. So again, it's just the fact that this creates a known bad that helps kind of the alert fatigue doesn't really hit me just because a lot of the times it's mainly just reading through and seeing the same day-to-day stuff,
Yeah.
and it comes through once a day.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping is when that, like you said, it's you trust those alerts, right? And
Right.
that's what I'm hoping for you when you go down the road of the SIEM as well, is that you get it configured such that where it is a benefit to you and it's handing you information you care about, right?
Correct.
And so yeah, looking forward to that for you guys. I guess Brenda, I did want to circle back a little bit to kind of your path to get where you are, and sort of to GMIS. Do you? So the angle I'm taking here has to do with what do you lean on to kind of get to make it as far as you've gotten? Do you lean and touching back again on? Just want to kind of riff on that a little bit, like touching back on who you've leaned on over the years, whether it's a vendor, whether it's a GMIS, whether it's a, that sort of thing.
Actually, both. When I got involved in GMIS and was just a basic member, I found a family of like-minded people, and so I heavily leaned on my peers because they had been there, they had done that, a lot of them, and so that really helped me grow as an individual and grow in the IT department, being the sole person for so long and coming from a non-IT background at all. And stepping into an organization that had never had an IT person.
Yeah. So how does that even happen? You go from no IT to IT, like magic wand? Like what's that story?
I had a friend in a previous organization that I worked for when we were working day trading. He was the tech person and I was the receptionist, and we became friends. Years later, we stayed friends. And when I wanted to make a change in my career, when I was working for the school photography company, he said, well, you always had a great mind for computers. How about come learn with me?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? And so he was a great mentor along the way, started me out in things that I did not know that he was starting me out in, like level 3 tech stuff. He was just saying, hey, do this, and I would do that, and then we would go down the merry little way. And so along the way, I learned all the aspects of what I needed to learn. And so they liked me at the city of Newton. I was contract here for a little while, and then they really liked me. So then I started here, and I just kind of learned it all, redesigned the network a couple of times over, and just on the job training, really.
Yeah. And do you feel that's a common in the municipality space? Not necessarily a common to go from like zero IT to IT, but just a common pathway of like you just got to get in there and do it. You're not bringing in the super expert every time, right?
Yes, and I do feel like that, and in Kansas in particular, and I know that a lot of other states have the same challenges. They have smaller communities. Mm-hmm. They have the smaller cities, the smaller counties, and there's not a lot of people resources to be able to, there might be one-man shops, two-man shops. So when I was introduced to GMIS, that was a huge help to me because all of these individuals, I was able to ask questions, and they just wanted to help. IT people in general just want to help. So they helped me along the way and to continue to grow where I have been. And I think I've become a better director, a better IT person along the way because of that community that I was able to lean on. And along with that community, we have, the sponsors and the corporate members that show up and help us along the way. Like Nomic, they want to see our organizations grow and become better and more secure if that's, what they do. And so I'm able to lean on those members too. I've talked to you and Greg and, Pascal and Chris, and, we've had those conversations, and just knowing that I've got somebody that has my back, or I can find the answers through you if I need that. Mm-hmm. It's huge.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like your story, so I wanted to make sure you shared that a little bit. Well, that's cool. Do you guys have any other questions before we drop off the line, or anything else you want to mention? Plug us one more time.
I personally think your support is awesome. We've
I was
reached
totally
out a
kidding.
few
Yeah,
times.
go ahead.
No, I have been really impressed with the support. The few times that when Nathan and I had just started with the products and we reached out to support, they're awesome. Very, very quick, and knowledgeable, explain things well. I don't know. That's a huge part of investing in a company and having their products, the support back end. And we've had really great support from Nomic. Obviously, you and Greg, love you both to death. So there's that too. So
Right back at you.
Yeah,
there's a lot
and
of collaboration.
right. And the other thing, I mean, realistically, is you guys have a relatively small team, but it's never felt that way. I mean, normally there's a give and take of, any sort of MSP or anybody a vendor that we work with, where it's like if it's a huge vendor, you know, you never worry that you're going to have a trouble getting a hold of anybody or talking to anybody, but it could be one of 60 people, so you never really know who you're going to talk to. Versus, you have too small, you think, oh well, I'll never get a hold of them because they're going to be too busy. It amazes me how you guys have such a small team, and I've never once had any troubles getting connected or talking to anyone from you guys when I've needed to get any information. Um,
That's great to hear. It's a sweet spot. Pulling back the curtain a little bit. It's interesting to manage that size, right, and make sure that we can cover what we're trying to cover, because support is a huge. Nobody knows who we are, right? So we're competing against these 800-pound gorillas, and how do we differentiate ourselves? We got to get in. We got to fight to get in, and once we're in, support sort of takes over from there, and it's like the sticky, the thing that's like, well, no, that support's too good. There's no way I'm gonna.
yeah.
That's kind of the way it goes. Well, thanks again, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Appreciate the
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Thanks again for listening. If you found any of this valuable, please go ahead and spread the word, LinkedIn or wherever you might share this sort of information, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.